Welcome back. I'm trying a demo of a game called Death in Faeology. So, for those of you who don't know, this is a game that was premiered at the Women Led Gaming presentation that was done as a part of Summer Game Fest. So, this game was made by a team of women. So, that's very interesting. This is a demo. It's available on Steam. I just wanted to try it out because it's kind of like a murder mystery kind of game where you're a detective trying to solve, what happened to someone. I don't know if it's a fairy or just another random person. So, just for context, Faeology is basically like Fae mythology or like fairies. So, Fae, Fae, is for like fairy. So, it's basically a mythological creature. So, it's going to have some of that element in here. Oh, you can change the name. We're going to be Bree because why not? This is just going to be a prologue just to get a feel for it. So let's get started. So it says grading first year assignments can be an exercise in patience. I ought to remind myself that Faeology is a relatively recent science, only a couple of decades old. The university, the only Faeology university in the entire country, was just finished being built in 1905. It's still barely acknowledged in the academic field. More importantly, I've got to keep in mind that children inherit their parents' prejudices and misconceptions. The human world has formed its own notions of fairies. Alas, I find myself unable to suppress a big sigh every time I read reference to poisoned apples ushering princesses into eternal sleep. The reference of the Cottingley fairies is one I can understand since it was quite the sensation not long ago. Although it will be clear in the eyes of renowned phaeologists that the photographs were mere imitations, a pity that Sir Doyle was taken in by it. I ought to take a break. The grading session today has taken me quite a tangent. My beloved Oz, it's an interesting looking fairy. I suppose having a fairy companion does give one an advantage in identifying genuine fairies. I'd say a break is in order, wouldn't you, Oz? Oz responds through thrills that I've learned to interpret over the decades I've known them. The Conningling fairies again. Yes, and Princess's eternal slumber due to poisoned apples, once again referencing Snow White. We don't care much for human princesses, but making poisoned apples is rather an easy feat. Shall I turn one of them into a toad in front of the whole class to show that Fae folk are capable of more than that? At the same time, showing them that not all fairies are a friendly bunch? I can't help but chuckle at the thought of that. I believe some might just quit that same day if you do that. Besides, if other phaeologists get a hold of your existence, who knows what they'll do to you? Chances are high that people will try to pin you to a corkboard and bisect you. I would never let that happen. I've always appreciated you pursuing phaeology to ensure that. It's the least I could do. We've known each other since I was 7. You saved me countless times since then. Well, you could have let me bleed to death when you found me. I would never. I could hear a delightful melody of chirps laced with a touch of whimsical, which made me feel a tad fuzzy. It seems that even the laugh of a fairy possesses some magical quality. While you're on a break, isn't there something else on your agenda this afternoon? Right, Mr. Henkel's letter. Thanks for reminding me. I retrieved the letter from my patron from the dress drawer. I leaned back on my chair and read the missive aloud to myself. Dear Bree, how long are you going to keep me in suspense? Will you, or will you not, accompany me to this year's Laios Gala? You could do a lot worse than forgetting your boring books for a few moments in favor of willing away an evening with champagne and canapes and invigorating company. And when I say invigorating, I'm not speaking of those old sods with deep pockets ready to be exploited by way of funding grants for your research. I'm speaking, of course, of yours truly. Do write me sometime before Saturday. That's tomorrow's date, isn't it? I know. My delay in responding is entirely by design, I assure you. I hate to be getting the looks from the crowd like I'm a wet blanket. Biology isn't worth my dough, they'd say. Oz Oz's replying chirp is decidedly indignant. I nod to Oz in agreement before returning to Mr. Hinkle's letter. In other news, I've heard that little Ruthie Blythe caused a minor ruckus in the city's hottest speakeasy. If your old friend, Detective Krause, hadn't been in the area at the time as well, who knows what would have happened. I found myself rather perturbed at this revelation. I would have telephoned Ruthie and asked what the story was, like when we were children. However, for better or worse, we're not on friendly terms anymore. I continue reading my patron's letter. Speaking of the detective, have the two of you been keeping in contact? He gave me the cold shoulder when I passed calls with him at last week's benefit. I couldn't help assuming that his persistently frosty treatment of me might have had something to do with you. It's unfortunate that the extensive bond you have with him should end in a rather bitter taste. As you have told me more than once, when it was good, there was nothing quite like it. Yet you speak very little of him now, and I find myself wondering if he still holds a place in that guarded heart of yours. The letter is signed, yours everlasting, Oscar Hinkle. Well, I've kept Mr. Hinkle waiting long enough. I've pressed a pen to a fresh sheet of paper to commence crafting a response. Just then, a familiar rhythmic rapping pierces the silence. I glance at the direction of Oz, but they're nowhere to be seen. Oz must have camouflaged themselves in a heartbeat. I put Mr. Hinkle's letter in the drawer before calling out, "Come in, Minnie!" My assistant enters the office. She's careful to snap the door shut behind her. "Professor?" "Yes, Minnie?" "Were you talking to yourself again?" "That's right. You know me." "I see. Sometimes I wonder what she must have thought while hearing the mumbling sounds of me speaking with Oz. But she knows when not to poke her nose into things. One of the things I like about her, and what also makes her the bee's knees when it comes to being an assistant. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but he's here." "Who?" "That police detective from the newspaper." "Police detective?" Even as I echo those two words, there's a sinking feeling in my stomach. "You know, the man who made you crumple the papers and toss them in the trash can. In the end, we had to stop our subscription for the dailies. Detective Theodore Croce?" "Yes, that's the one." Knowing Theo is here makes my world go momentarily off kilt. As if by the magic of fairy tales I'm blind, the ink in my patron's letter has manifested him into the reception area. "Can't you tell him I'm out delivering a lecture on the far side of campus or something?" "That depends. Is a lie like that going to deter this man?" An astute question. She's very wise beyond her years. "Probably not. He'll happily traverse the entire campus just to torment me, I'm guessing." "All right, let him in." With a brisk nod, Minnie returns to the reception area. I barely have time for a steadying breath before Theo barges in. He drops a desk right off the bat. "What is this? Why is he in my office?" Well, well, look at the cat dragged in. Not even a how do you do?" "What? Do niceties suddenly mean something to you?" I seem to recall you packing your bags and moving out without so much as a goodbye." "There was no one to say goodbye to." Didn't you find out I left only a few days later? At least it made it easier for you to leave, didn't it?" There's a twinge of hurt in his voice that I'm only able to pick up because we lived together for several months. As my mouth struggles to catch the words hanging in the air, I feel the piercing, icy silence creeping in. I ought to break the silence before I freeze. "What's in the box?" He lets out a deep sigh that rather sounds like a relief. "Your things that somehow you didn't take with you when you left, even that oddly crafted handkerchief you loved so much. That handkerchief was a gift for you." I see the corner of his mouth twitching. He's lying. What should I do with this information? So I can either reach out and check the box for myself, or I can respond in disbelief. I'm going to respond in disbelief. I'm not opening this box. "I don't believe you." I declare my disbelief while crossing my arms. He stares at me impassively, then scantly shrugs in acquiescence. Well, you saw right through me. There's no way those things would fit into this box. I threw all of it away right after you vanished. He said with a subtle squint in his left eye, another lying tell of his. I can't help but sigh at his antics. Of course you did. So what's really in the box? Want to take a guess? I do have an idea. Knowing him, he'd rather face the whole Al Capone gang by himself and take their bullets before coming to visit me. This must be way more important than our poignant history. Case evidence? I've seen boxes like this one before, but never one quite so large. It's a really big case, isn't it? He nods. The biggest of my career. And to come to me, of all people, you must be at your wits' end about this. He looks away as if trying to hide how galling the circumstances at hand are. Truth be told, I'd rather face the whole Al Capone gang and take their bullets than have to see you again. Gee, that stings a little. So, why would you? Hold on a minute. You think this has some sort of connection to fairies? He flicks his tongue in exasperation. Oh my, it seems I've hit the bullseye. We stopped talking about fairies at some point when we were still together. Those talks always led to a heated discussion and then into arguments because nothing I could say would change his skepticism towards mystical beings. This is certainly the chance to tease him about it, though it might be unwise considering the emotional peril he must have gone through to get here. What should I do next? I can either tease him or ask him more about his thoughts. To be productive, probably just ask him about his thoughts because he's already grumpy and I already don't want to see him, so let's keep it brief. I know this must be hard for you, but it can't help you if you don't say anything. He sighs. You're right. As difficult as it is to admit, the things you've told me before about fairies and whatnot might have helped to make sense of this case. But I have to say, for the sake of my sanity, I still don't believe they exist. Fair enough. He appears pleasantly surprised by my answer, as though he was expecting a quarrel right around the corner. Little did he know I learned this moot to try to explain the otherworldly beings to him. So what makes this case so significant? Why do you think it's related to fairies? Are you even allowed to tell me? I hear the sound of a chuckle under his breath like a bolt from the blue. For a brief moment, his gaze on mine seems to revert to how it used to be, until the seriousness returned to his face. First things first, since I'm leading the investigation, I do have some discretion on what details to divulge and to whom. That is, if the confidant can bring value to the investigation, and I've known you for a fact can be discreet. Still, I must ask your sworn secrecy on this matter. You got it. So tell me about the case. What does it seem to be of paramount importance? It's a multiple murder case, potentially perpetrated by a single culprit. The victims are chiefly middle-aged women residing north of the city. They're from old money families, the type that make regular appearances at high society events. I see. No wonder you're all tensed up. You're telling me? Chief took me off every other case and insisted I put all my time and energy into this. It's only a matter of time before the press catches wind and makes a circus of everything. And with some of the victims' peculiar mannerisms of death, he pauses. This is where the fairies come in? He silently stares and then sighs. I swear I must be losing my mind. You've got this. Now he draws in a long, deep breath. 3 of the victims had a manner of death that the unit had never seen or heard of before. The strangest case is the one where the bodies seemingly hardened into bony tissue overnight. Her corpse almost looked like a carved wooden statue. Oh, I've heard of something like that before. Of course you have. I frowned at him. Don't start now. He clears his throat abashedly. Without finding out what caused these deaths, and more importantly, who did this, the press could spin the stories out of control. I don't want to imagine the look on victims' faces if and when the papers make a razz out of these poor women's death. Besides, what kind of depraved, sick bastard goes around murdering women in such a way? The city's already running on fumes, crimes becoming more rampant day by day. People shouldn't have to look over their shoulders every night. It's no way to live. Even as he lapses into silence, I say nothing. It's not just the city. The rise of crime is bleeding him dry too. Yet I'm unsure of what words could soothe those who are fighting it on the front line. I've never been where they are. The frown lines between his eyebrows grow deeper. Considering the victims' backgrounds, having these murders being exaggerated in the paper would pressure the families to insist on closing the case as soon as possible, no matter the cost, no matter who's to blame. You're right. Innocent people are going to bear the brunt for this. This is a terrible situation. I feel my stomach churning, my arms crossed on instinct, trying to hold my own disquietude in place. Is there anything you can do? I'm just one man. Try as I might, I can't keep those rotten police brass from lining their pockets. Nothing but a pack of lowlives in high places. He exhales sharply, his voice laced with contempt. Then he fell into silence yet again. Similarly, words seem to have abandoned me, but I can't shake this feeling of hopelessness crawling under my skin. After a minute, he meets my eyes once more. Well, you're a good listener, better than most. He curled his lip into an almost smile. I don't mind it at all. Thanks. He clears his throat once more. Alright, let's get down to brass tacks. This box includes case files, crime scene photos, and a couple of blood samples, which I was able to request to bring to you, and several other pieces of evidence. Other than the strange mannerisms of death I've said, forensics was puzzled too by the blood samples. How so? One of them doesn't contain iron. That's interesting. Nothing surprises you, does it? Well, about this peculiarity, I'd bring up something from my fairy books, but you'll always find a way to deny it. You're right about that. I'm still investigating the possibility of unknown drugs or poison that somehow caused these oddities, but I'd be a fool not to go after my hunches and look into all possibilities. What about robbery? It's ruled out. No fingerprints, no evidence of breaking in, nothing had been stolen. And motives? Revenge? We're interviewing the city's elites, looking for possible motives. But it takes time. You know how it is. Of course, they're very busy. Speaking of city elites, I know people who could be very helpful in getting some inside information. His expression turned sour at full tilt. Who? That man? I said people, but yes, that man would be particularly helpful in this matter. He scoffs brazenly and doesn't even try to hide it. Even at the first meeting with Mr. Henkel, there was some inexplicable tension between the two. Theo said something about Mr. Henkel feeling off, and always hated it when I had something to do with him. Though it might just be jealousy in disguise. You know I'm right. Even if he's barely in the newspapers, he's most likely at the pinnacle of high society. I don't think he'll mind if I ask him a few things about this. Why, of course, he's always got a soft spot for you. Hell, he's probably carrying a torch for you for a long time, judging by the way he follows you everywhere. Well, he happens to be interested in Faeology and has a lot of money to allow its development. Look at you, all ready to defend him. What are you two an item now? I might have steered this reunion right back to where we were months ago by bringing up Mr. Henkel, but it was necessary to mention him. I don't know anyone else that would have that much information about high society. Besides, there's never really been anything, even if we did go to fundraising events together from time to time. It was strictly business. Yet again, Theo seems to lose his reason whenever we talk about Mr. Henkel. I don't have the time or the energy to argue with him. What should I do? I could explain the truth about the relationship or try to make him see reason. We could just explain. It's not that deep since it's strictly business. We're not anything. We go to fundraising events from time to time, but these are work. I've got to get money for my research from somewhere, you know. Our relationship is strictly business. He gives me a dirty look. Sure, I believe you. No, he doesn't. Besides, what I do with him is none of your beeswax. His voice becomes even more irritated. That's right, it's none of my concern. Do whatever you want with him. Just make sure he can keep his mouth shut about the case. I can't help but groan at the turn of events. I will. While we're on the subject of useful allies, you mentioned before about blood that doesn't contain iron. I could take the blood sample to the university's chemist. She's good at what she does. And she's from a rich family. She might know some of the victims, or their families at least. I'll trust your judgment. I take this as you're agreeing to help me with the case? That's right. There are lives at stake. He let out a soft smile as though in quiet agreement with what I said. Thank you. If you think it'll be helpful, you may even ask the people you mentioned what they know using the evidence items. But the case files are for your eyes only. Understood. He's fallen silent somehow, leaving an uncomfortable hush in the air once more. Suddenly a realization comes to mind. Does this mean you'd be willing to hear about fairies? About Faeology? That depends. If this was fairies' doing, and if through your investigation you could provide solid theories on 3 things: the culprit, the method of the murder, and their motives. Supported by evidence, of course. I'm sticking with the idea that there's a logical explanation, an earthly one, for now. Fair enough. I'd wager that we, have approximately 24 hours to get some sort of answer. An answer that makes sense. I can feel the papers are close to getting the story. While you're investigating this lead, I'll look further into unusual drugs and poisons. How about it, Faeologist? Do you dare take on this challenge? Do I? Yeah, that's fine. Bring it on, detective. This brings a grin to his almost consistent brooding expression. Good. If you need anything from me, just ring me. Aye, sir. But you need to promise me that you'll not just hear me out, but also keep an open mind for fairy topics if I succeed in what you asked. I promise. But I can't promise not to scoff from time to time. That's good enough. I ought to get going. Maybe this will be an opportunity for you to increase Faeology credibility in the eyes of the academics. Maybe. Seems like some detective has been following the tiny part of Faeology in the newspaper. Says you. The one who had to stop the daily paper subscription just because some detective kept getting the headlines. How do you... Before I could finish, he walked towards the door and opened it. See you tomorrow around the same time. I hear the door close. Hey! I exclaimed with a hint of frustration. After some thought, I realized he must have noticed the missing newspaper on my desk and my assistant's. Reading papers was a part of my daily routine when we were together. I can only shake my head in disbelief. He hasn't changed much either. As I'm reminiscing about a few moments of our past relationship, Oz reveals himself again now that we're all alone. That was quite the reunion. It was quite the reunion indeed. He hasn't changed at all, has he? I suppose. Although you don't have an obligation to help him. I know. But I've already agreed. Very well. Just don't overwork yourself. Yeah, thanks, Oz. I find myself slowly drifting in thoughts. The victim's manner of death, hardening into bony tissue, could be one of the fairy curses, ossification. If only I could ask Oz whether a fairy was behind this, and which one, but it's not that simple. Even if they are my longtime companion, fairies have their own rules about exchanging favors, and they're secretive about their land, too. A favor like that doesn't come cheap. At least I'm stocked up on milk and honey for small requests. Speaking of requests, I should get started on a reply to my patron's letter. For some reason, he seems to be even more insistent this time that I come with him to the gala. I retrieve a pen and paper and I mumble to myself as I write. Dear Mr. Henkel, I hope your recent forays into high society have proven more fruitful than they have in... Should I be hyperbolic? Now, let's be realistic. More fruitful than they have been the last half a decade or so you've been alive. Believe it or not, I've been considering whether the merits of trying to impress the wealthiest folk in our city outweigh the obvious indignities. You first brought up the possibility of my accompanying you to the annual Leo's Gala a few months ago, and I'm still weighing my options. How do I want to play this? I could be coy or I could be apologetic. Probably apologetic because I'm not going. I don't have a definitive answer for you at present, I'm afraid. I sincerely apologize for my indecisiveness. About Ruthie, I can't say I'm surprised to hear about her latest flirtations with disaster. Since we were both toddlers, she's frequently found herself in trouble. Her fiery personality certainly doesn't help her get out of quarrels. I would love to telephone her and ask how she's doing, but we've drifted apart a long time ago. Nevertheless, I'm glad that Theo was around to smooth things over for her. I've now arrived on the topic of Theo, or Dr. Cruz, as my patron refers. I suppose his query was meant to uncover whether I still care for Theo. How should I answer? He and I are old news. As for Theo, I've stopped dwelling on him. The thought of him and I as a relic of the past, and I feel no regret in having ended it when I did. Upon signing off, I sealed the letter with wax. I turned to my trusted Fae. Oz, can I please trouble you with something? You want me to deliver this letter to your patron, don't you? Indeed, time is of the essence here. As always, please take care not to catch anyone's attention. He'll see it by tomorrow morning, I'm sure. It would be my pleasure. Thank you, Oz. I'm off. I'll see you later today. I watch as Oz flits out of my office window and vanishes. Once the Fae is gone, I call my assistant to my office. Yes, Professor. Hold on 1 second. I rifle through the contents of the box. Carefully, I extract the blood samples that Theo mentioned. They appear to be stored in test tubes. Would you mind taking this to Dr. Rayford for analysis to analyze these blood samples? I'll do that, sure. As I hand her the sample, I notice she looks like she wants to say something. Over the 2 years we've been working together, I've picked up on a few of her tells. What is it, Minnie? How'd it go with the detective? If you don't mind me asking. Oh, no, not at all. He's the same as always. There's lingering beef, of course, but we sort of managed to put that aside for something more important. He's brought me a rather significant case that he suspects might have some supernatural elements, as hard as it is for him to admit it. Oh, good for him. I can't help but grin at her remark. I'm glad it didn't end in a shouting match, at least. Yes, me too. I'll deliver the blood samples now, Professor. Thank you, Minnie. Minnie hurries out. I'm alone in my office again. Remembering the conversation about the case again, I'm suddenly engulfed by unexplainable, eerie feeling. I should start the investigation right away. Oh, so we're going to actually go through the investigation. So drag and drop items from the inventory to the desk. So select an item in the records, then press the icon to open the inspector and read insights you've gathered. Hover the magnifying glass above the evidence to access the information and see the details in it. Use the black light to see invisible things. Read the encyclopedia to gain additional information. Press the button to end the investigation. So this is what we're working on? I don't necessarily need all of this at once. So this is police case 1. Okay, so the first person, her name is Audrey Woldridge, and she's 51. With these kind of games, I always like to have pen and paper nearby because I'm not going to remember this off the top of my head. So she died from hardening, and the death is 1:48 p.m. So her death was hardening into bony tissue. She was an affluent middle-aged woman in the city. The victim reported hearing strange noises and seeing strange phenomena in the days immediately preceding her death. Did she report that to the police or to just people in general? So strange noises, but I don't know what she means by strange noises. The interviewing officers suspected, due to the victim's strange behavior, that occults were involved. No traces of drugs or poisons. That's important. So no traces of drugs or poison. Doesn't mean that it wasn't involved, but Wooldridge, now that's a familiar name. Okay, so that might be important later. Let's grab case 2. So Susan Moore is our next case. See if we can. So the second person, so there's been several of these. So the second person is Susan Moore. She's 40, so she's a little bit younger than the first lady. She refuses to drink anything but her own blood. Oh, that's weird. I wonder why. Time of death, 11:03 a.m. So she died in the morning. She was an affluent middle-aged woman in the city. Victim's mother reported the victim suffered from prolonged paranoid episode in the days preceding her death. Does she still live at home? How would her mom know that? I don't know what they mean by prolonged paranoid episode. Did she just think she was hearing and seeing stuff, or specifically she was acting erratic and saying strange things? Okay. There's no sign of dehydration, drugs, poison. Hmm. That's weird. Or hemochromatosis, so maybe blood disease. Um, we don't know her blood type. I don't know why her blood type would matter. Blood does not contain iron. That was the part that was weird, because all blood contains iron, unless she's a vampire or something. Okay. So we have some weird cases. Alright. Number 3, who is this? Alright, so our third chick, her name is Edna Niblet. She's 64, so she's older than our other two. Gnawing her own fingers down to the bone. That's weird. Time of death, 10:10 a.m. Sounds like it made them all kind of paranoid and anxious. She visited a friend of the victim reported that she visited the victim's residence to drop off an invitation shortly prior to the death. Invitation to what? I guess a party? Maybe the invitation was laced with something? The friend also wanted to check on the victim's well-being, as she had allegedly been acting strange at a party the night before. So everyone started having symptoms days or nights before they got sick. According to the friend, she witnessed an emotionally charged conversation between the victim and a young factory girl. Hmm. I wonder what she would have to argue with a friend about. At the crime scene, the invitation card dropped off by the friend was seen close to the victim's corpse and was taken as evidence. So still no drugs. So no drugs or poisons present. Blood type unknown. I don't know how the blood type would help us here if they're not being poisoned. Oh, blood does not contain iron. Again? Hmm. And there's a fourth case. Try to grab that. Oops. Okay, so our fourth one, if I can make it. Okay, so Mary Hatcher. No, she's young. Is she the one that was arguing with Edna? Our third case. So she's 19, so she's young. So death from shock due to arsenic poisoning. So this one's the only one that's been poisoning. Because everyone else, we couldn't figure out what they died from. Time of death, 6:15. Time of death. Okay, so she was the latest one. So she's a young factory girl. But maybe she was the one arguing with Edna. Despite not fitting the trend of previous victim profiles, she has been preliminarily included in this case because she was seen as having a heated discussion with the third victim shortly before the victim's death. He was the one arguing. So why kill herself? Or she was poisoned. The victim's father describes her as not acting like herself in the days before she passed. Shortly before her death, the victim visited the police station. According to the interviewing officer, she seemed to be on the brink of confessing something when a look of terror crossed her face. Then she changed her mind. So Mary went to police station to confess something. We don't know what that is. I wish we knew the day that these people died. Because she didn't say. Prior to her death, she suffered from violent abdominal cramping followed by diarrhea and vomiting. So that was from the poison. I wonder if she poisoned herself because she felt guilty. Traces of said poison can be found in the blood. So she's type A blood. And from a glass. Poison found in blood. And a glass of she thinks. I doubt she poisoned herself though. Now her blood does contain iron, so hers is normal. Okay, so that didn't help us a ton. Alright, let's look at the photos. So this is the first chick. We're estimating that this is ossification. So we're saying that victim number one may have died from but that's, I feel like that's a stretch. Because why would somebody go to that length? Nobody deserves to die like this. Something's odd with her fingers. She has extra fingers? She has no thumb. She has 5 fingers, but none of them look like a thumb. She had no thumb. Okay, let's find some other pictures. I'm gonna swap that out. Um, this is the second lady. Her complexion is not quite the pale hue of death, far paler than possible, almost drained of color. Was very pale after death, drained of color. I said I thought a vampire for one of them. Hmm, something odd with her fingers. She has an extra finger too. She has 5 fingers, but she does have a thumb. So she has 5 fingers and a thumb. That is weird. Everyone seems to have a finger issue. We can't tell if she has a thumb or not. Okay. Alright. Next picture. This is the third lady. Her fingers. She has extra fingers again. Okay. That's weird. Everyone seems to have extra fingers. Let's see the fourth picture. This is the young girl. Now her hand looks normal. She doesn't look like she has anything extra. So victim number 3, who gnawed off her fingers to the bone, she had extra fingers too. But she doesn't look different. Poor girl. Yeah, but see, in hers, she drank the poison, but her fingers look regular. Not that that makes a difference. And what other evidence do we have to pick from? We have a lot. Okay. I don't know who this is. So the middle-aged woman in the collared blouse is the victim. I guess the elderly man in the suit is her father. This, I'm not sure. Is this our second victim? Our fourth victim? I don't even know who we're talking about here. Is this her? Or is it our second victim? Wait, let me read this again actually. So the middle-aged woman in the collared blouse is the victim. The elderly man is her father. Okay. So the middle-aged one is Susan. So we have a picture of Susan and her family. So this is Susan. I'm gonna try to pair these people together. Cause dark hair, dark hair. But you see in the picture she doesn't have 5 fingers, but then she does here, so something happened to her. Now we have another picture. Oops. Not sure who this is. So the middle-aged woman with the pearls is the victim. So her father, her mother, and brother. So this is the same family again. They definitely look more gaunt and skinny the second time around. She looks chunkier, and the mom looks different. But the men look so thin now. It's crazy. Okay, this is a coin. Oh, we don't know what that is. We're gonna put that back then. Uh, we have a we have a few things. Uh, I guess we'll keep everything out except for the folder. Now we have other tools, and I totally forgot. So this is. So when you scan this, what does that do? Sorry, I need to read this book too. We'll come back to that. Um, We'll come back to the book. There's something on her hand. Some sort of symbol. Is it on her hand anywhere else? Okay, so the dad has it on his hand. The dad and the girl have it, but not the... What, is that the dad? Yeah, so the dad and her have it. Okay, so I don't know what the symbol is. Let's see if we can get some clarification. So with the black light... Okay, so there's a symbol on Susan and her dad's home. So let's read about the black light. So it says, all fairy kind seem to be weak against iron, although small amounts of iron, like in meat or blood, does not seem to ward off fairies. Historically, cold iron was often forged as a weapon and used to repel fairy magic. The intricate use of iron, combined with physics and chemistry, is applied to Faeologists to develop a special black light in order to detect and distinguish the magical essence of the three main kinds of fae. Beneath the black light, scribe magic appears blue. So it's scribe magic. We have a blue symbol. Warrior magic is red, and parasitic magic is purple or violet. But when we scan the ring is purple. So the ring is parasitic magic. Sustained black light imagery on an object imbued with fairy magic may reveal intricate details of certain complex spells. Now this came up... Sorry, there's a lot on this table. This came up purple. But it came up a very dark purple, like a 4. I don't even know what that would mean, though. Let's check the coin. The coin... Ooh, it burned. Oh, no. The coin also came up purple and... Oh, it's a parasitic fae. So the coin is a parasitic... That's weird. Can we look any deeper into it? There's no mistaking it. The structure of the thorax, antennae, curvature, elongated legs, these are exactly the same as the parasitic fae I cataloged a few months ago. What happened to you? I've seen this makeup powder somewhere. It's from Nectar Bell. Covered in makeup powder from Nectar Bell. I wonder if that's going to be significant. It must have belonged to one of them. I wonder if the owner likes the box design and carrying it around in her pocket since it's already used up. Perhaps the chemist has some interesting insight since her family owns the brand. So we need to ask the chemist about this. Now, the only person in a picture with a ring on is Susan. But to our knowledge, she wasn't married. But she lived at home with her parents. Susan, the victim number 2, the 40-year-old, she wasn't married. She went to the gallows and stuff with her family. I don't know why she would have a ring, but I think the ring is hers. Now this, there's nothing that pops up on that. I've seen this makeup powder recently from Nectar Bell. Now for the makeup, I really don't know. Okay, so scribes, fairies. The scribes are high fays who are capable of expressing benevolence and kindness that is similar to human kindness, and they tend to be friendlier to humans. However, this kindness is only shown in the form of favor exchanges, and they do not go out of their way to help others like humans would. The scribe magic that assists humans is contingent upon the favor the humans deliver to them. For example, some scribe fae may use their magic to give blessings to humans who have done very special favors or boons for them via inheritable, visible markings such as signals or birthmarks. These blessings can last throughout generations. The rumored Fae-touched bloodlines have become wealthy and powerful through the decades that they have been favored. However, they may also use their magic as a curse, sometimes even deadly if they are offended or insulted. Some scribe fairies are also prone to pranks and mischief when they're bored. So, scribe fairies can give blessings to humans. So, they were blessed. So, Susan's family was blessed through the dad, I guess. I wonder what blessings they would have done. Hmm. Um, okay, so warrior fairies, they reside in groups and they're territorial, they're protective of their troops, and they're unfriendly towards outsiders. They smite anyone who interferes with the group. Humans entering their territory, even if accidentally, might be eliminated through magic. Though fairy warriors typically remain with their own kind and seldom venture beyond the fairy realm, they're known for aggressive temperament and volatile disposition. I think we're dealing with that. And then parasitic fairies. Fairies with limited magic consistently need to feed off of other sources of energy, mostly drained from humans, such as blood, hormones, emotions, and life force. However, these mechanisms and rates at which drainage processes occur are greatly varied. Hmm. So parasitic fairies need to feed. I got they need to feed off of hormones, emotions, or life force. Hmm. Okay. So notable incident changeling. There are unconfirmed rumors that some high fays like to capture humans and bring them into the fairyland for purposes such as forced reproduction, servitude, and ritualized combat for their amusement and so on. These fairies leave changelings behind to mask their absence. A changeling is composed of several fae, usually typically of a parasitic type, magically transformed to look almost exactly like the abducted human. Due to the complexity of Fey magic required to create a changeling, this enchantment almost always goes awry. Anomalies common amongst changelings include extra toe or extra fingers. Hmm. Nearby heat conductors, such as small metallic objects, have also been known to repel or to be warped by them. Oh, so the extra fingers. Three people had extra fingers. So victim one, two, and three has extra fingers. So maybe they were changed because that would make sense. They were kidnapped, maybe. Um, it doesn't really help me though. So Fae factions and conflict. There are two main factions in High Fae: the Scribes and the Warriors. The Scribes are known for their defensive magic and their intelligence. The Warriors are known for their powers and their offensive magic. Meanwhile, low Fae factions comprise of Faes with limited parasitic magic. They're a widely maligned species that like to consume human blood, hormones, or souls. The history of Fae class conflict is not well documented. It appears there were several quarrels between the factions, as there's a certain level of disdain for each other. However, disputes often occur amongst fairies of the same faction. Nonetheless, both factions of High Fae deem parasites despicable low Fae due to the limited and parasitic nature of their magic. Well, I don't know what that's not really helpful. I need to read this, but I also need to read this. So there's nothing special on that. My patron invited me to this event. I'm still unsure if I want to attend. I don't think so. because this was the somebody had this. Yeah, victim number 3 had this invitation next to her before she died, and someone had delivered it to her. So maybe it has something to do with the gala. I don't know. Some Faeologists have applied Darwin's theory of natural selection to Fae kind by putting them in the same genealogical line as insects, especially the Lepidoptera group, which includes moths and butterflies. This is supported by their similarities to each other. Beneath a special black light, some species of butterflies can glow by having a chemical known as phosphorus, which fairies also have. The similarities to fairy kind to insects, as well as to birds and others in the animal kingdom, manifest in terms of their variants of fairy magical abilities. One magical skill possessed by some fae is transfiguration, which is similar to metamorphosis. Wielders of the transfiguration spells can make themselves or other fae take on another form, including appearing human. Many high faes have heightened powers of suggestion through the emission of toxins capable of causing hypnosis or illusions. Although quite rare, some high fae can transform living beings into solid objects such as stone or bone. Another example of fae magic is invisibility, which is similar to camouflage. There may be other types of magical powers that have not yet been documented. I mean, unfortunately, I think we've seen everything. I don't know what else there is to see. A knock on the door makes me glance up from my desk. I realize the sun has set while I was absorbed in the investigation. Come in. My assistant enters the office. Dr. Rayford has arrived to drop off the blood samples and she wants to talk to you. Already? Yes, she's just out the door. I must say I'm pleasantly surprised at her work speed. Alright, send her in. Minnie nods. He returns to the reception area. Dr. Florence Rayford enters. It's only been 3 years and she's worked at the university, but she has proven her reliability more often than not. Good evening, Professor. Good evening, Doctor. Dr. Rayford hands over the blood samples. She also gives me her lab report. Here you go. Thank you. So what have you found? The most peculiar thing is that there's no iron in one of the blood samples. Say, is this fairy related? Her questions prompt me to ask myself, to what extent of the case can I divulge to her? Theo did say I may ask the patron or her for information using some of the evidence. Although she has knowledge of fairies and curses, can she handle seeing crime scene photos? As I return from my thoughts, I notice her voice has taken on a higher pitch. This is so exciting. Are you working with the police? Does this mean we'll get better credibility in the eyes of the public? Oh my, we're going to be in the newspapers, aren't we? And not on the usual corner spots, too. Oh, I can hardly contain myself. It appears she took my silence as a yes. It's good that she's excited about the possibility of advancement for Faeology, but her cheerful disposition can be rather overstimulating. As if on cue, a knock on the door arrived to spare me. This specific sound is familiar, more familiar than when my assistant knocks. Special delivery. Mr. Henkel's hands are empty. And what, pray, might you be bringing for me? Is it you? Are you the special delivery, Mr. Henkel? If you wish to call me special, then I certainly won't stop you. But I did bring a box of huckleberry muffins for your office. Minerva was instantly enamored by their buttery scent. She's currently feasting on them. We can only hope she'll leave a muffin apiece for the rest of us. Oh, hello there, Florence. I didn't expect to see you in this office. Hello, Mr. Henkel. Fancy seeing you here. Although you do have a habit of making this office your sole stop on campus. He chuckles. That's just because this is where all my money went. A well-spent investment nonetheless. He makes a retort at Dr. Rayford, but throws a subtle smile in my direction. How cheeky. So, Florence, what's been occupying your time as of late? He looks at me briefly, wondering whether she should tell him about what she did for me. The usual matters, I suppose. I tried asking your father about you at the last soiree. However, he confessed he didn't have the slightest idea. You must tell me more about your chemical research one of these days. The colorful pursuits of you young academics thrills me to no end. You know I can't share all that much, Mr. Henkel. Yes, unless, of course, you find yourself in the position to become the chemistry department's benefactor, then all their secrets are yours. A more playful giggle escapes her lips this time. I'm afraid I'm all tapped out, financially speaking. Oh, I'm not buying that one. Not for a second. He's telling fibs, isn't he, Professor? Well, now I certainly don't want to get in the middle of money talk of the rich. I wish I had that information, Doctor. It would it would make proposing for research much easier, with a bit of delicate leverage, naturally. Mr. Hinkle laughed in amusement. I feel I should ask the reason he's here before this conversation takes an odd turn. On another note, Mr. Hinkle, did you get my letter? Is that the real reason you dropped by? Upon recalling that I asked Oz to insert the letter in his mailbox only this afternoon, I'm about to retract these questions. Unexpectedly, though, he bows his head in assent. Your words have always had this immersive impact on me. Perhaps that's why you're such an effective educator. When I encountered your written language, I longed to hear it spoken post haste. Are you putting a spell on your letters by any chance? I think you're the one with all the spells, Mr. Hinkle. Your muffins, for one, have always been successful at getting Minnie's guards down. Oh my, you two are making me blush. I suppose it's time I take my leave and let you both be. I'm due somewhere shortly anyhow. Oh no, that might not be necessary. I can't stay long either. Mr. Hinkle lapses into silence as he continues staring into my eyes. It's difficult to maintain eye contact with him, but even harder to look away. I wonder what I should do. I ought to discuss the case, but both of them seem to be in a hurry. Should I tell Mr. Hinkle to return another day, since I need to have an important conversation with Dr. Rayford right away? Or should I dismiss the chemist and meet with my patron now? There are benefits to both choices. Soliciting Dr. Rayford's opinion in the case might be a good idea. She could share more insight on the chemistry side of the case. Her parents own a successful company that produces the makeup powder in evidence. She would also know the social happenings amongst the wealthy elites. On the other hand, Mr. Hinkle is also a viable candidate for the interview. His connections with high society know no bounds. Everyone seems to know him one way or another. He might know things Dr. Rayford doesn't. Since he's been funding my research for a long time, he's also more familiar with fairy topics. Whom should I interview? We need the doctor. No shade, but I need someone who can explain why there's no iron in the blood here. Like Dr. Rayford, would you mind staying a little longer? I'd love to hear your opinion on something. Dr. Rayford glances at me, then at Mr. Heckle, and then back at me with a glimmer of mischief in her smile. Are you sure, Professor? I let out a resigned sigh. Sometimes it can be quite difficult to deal with her teasing. Yes? When I address my patron once more, regret colors my tone. Mr. Hinkle, would you mind coming back another day? I have something crucial to discuss with the doctor at present. Of course, I understand. Your scientific pursuits precede all else. I wouldn't have it any other way. Thank you for dropping off those muffins. He only replies with a smile. I'll see you soon, right? As soon as possible, I promise. Mr. Hinkle and Dr. Rayford exchange brief goodbyes. My patron then departs. I'm alone with the chemist again. Doctor, I might need your further assistance regarding the blood samples and also something more pressing. So it is true. You are working with the police. I suppose. Detective Krause consulted me this morning about an ongoing criminal case. Oh? Do I sense an old flame flickering back to life? Your eyes are tricking you, Doctor. It's been ashes for a long time and nothing has changed. There's a hint of disbelief in her eyes, but I won't divulge in her playful teasing when there's more important matter at hand. I clear my throat. I would also like to ask you for information, as you may be acquainted with some of the victims or their friends and family. Alright, I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have. Thank you. Although I do need your sworn secrecy on this. Of course, I'm adept at keeping secrets. You need not worry. Those samples I analyzed are part of the evidence in this case, right? That's right. Let us begin. I tell her the fundamentals of the case while she listens silently, all the while. When I finish my summation, she only has one word to say to me. Interesting. Girl, that's not what I want to hear. Now, what I want to show her Well, he told me I could share everything except for the case files. But I can't show her that. I'm gonna show her this makeup press. Actually, I don't know what I can show her. Can I show her the makeup press? Ah, my parents' greatest achievement. It's one of the things I want to ask you, doctor. I don't know much about makeup. How popular is this powder amongst high society? The powder has been the craze lately among the upper class since my parents have successfully gotten Mary Pickford to do its advertisements. So that helps us kind of. So the Nectar Bell powder is popular. Well, that doesn't really help me a lot then. It's popular among high society, and the first three victims are all from high society, so any of them could have used it. Well, I'll be. That doesn't really help me. Okay, what about the ring? My, are you proposing to me, Professor? I'm afraid my heart still belongs to my late husband. I can hear sorrow seeping in her peppy voice. Quietly, I slipped the ring back in the box. Okay, so that's a dead end. What about this gala? This is tomorrow's gala. I'm not going to be there since there's an opera playing. I didn't know you were into opera, Doctor. My late husband and I used to go there for one of our date nights. Sadness leaks through her eyes, although her smile stays bright. I hadn't the faintest she'd been married before. Okay, so that doesn't help me. Now, with the lab report, I've done my best to put all the details there, though I might have missed something in regards to the curious blood sample. I found traces of arsenic in this blood sample. One wonders who could have done such a thing to this poor girl. Actually, chemists do sell arsenic to common people to make their own weed killer and rat poison. So arsenic is in weed killer and rat poison. I haven't done that in some time, not since the university contract, but I'm sure the detective has asked his henchmen to collect purchase records from chemists all over the city, don't you think? I mean, I would assume. But we definitely should ask that, actually. That's helpful. I don't know if I want to show her the dead Fae. Maybe I'll show her some pictures of people who are alive, because it's like, okay, so the picture is Mrs. Moore and her family. Which is what I figured. But when I heard Mrs. Moore's biological parents passed away, he was adopted after her parents passed away by her by their employees. These employees couldn't have children, you see. Her biological parents left a substantial inheritance, which she received when she came of age. Then she was then she was married out of love to a wealthy entrepreneur. They were hand in hand wherever they went. It was a sad thing. Her luck seemed to slip away just when she needed it most. Dr. Rayford seems to know more about Mrs. Moore than she let on earlier. While she sounds quite sympathetic, I can sense a hint of jealousy in her voice. Yeah, that's weird. I don't know what else to show her without being weird about it. I showed her the first picture, right? Oh, so that's a second family. So, okay, that actually gives me more to go off of. So one picture is of Mrs. Moore and her family, but the other picture is of the Wooldridges, which is the first victim. Yes, it was everywhere in the papers when her father married the famous and one of the most beautiful socialites. So, I'm sorry, what was her name again? Oh, Audrey. So Audrey's father married a socialite. The other man here is Mrs. Wooldridge's stepbrother. Oh, so they're not blood related. Do you know anything about these people? Aside from being fabulously wealthy and well known, not particularly. Okay. So this is the Wooldridge family picture. This is the Moore family picture. Now, she says she knew Susan Moore, so we're going to show her. Mrs. Moore, she recognized the victim quite fast this time. They met once or twice at a clothing store and exchanged a few pleasantries. Occasionally, I would see her and her husband at various dinner parties as well. They were a lovely couple. Hmm. Do you happen to know this girl? Unfortunately, no, I don't know her. There is no sound to be heard as she stares at the photograph for a while. I wonder if this is too much for her. Is this Mrs. Wooldridge? It's a bit difficult to recognize her because of well, she speaks with her usual sunny lit, which is quite surprising. I guess she has a strong stomach. Yes, you're correct. What do you know of her? Everyone knows her and her family, that's pretty sure. She's one of the richest in the cities, the elites of the elites. Accordingly, her circle only consists of very selective people, such as your patron, I imagine. Oh, and her family likes to host charity events. Did you know her to dabble in occult matters? So the family does charity events as a selective circle that includes Mr. Hinkle. Unfortunately, what I told you previously is all I know about her. If she did dabble, do you think her manner of death is a result of occult matters? I mean, it's definitely a possibility. I think I've shown her everything. Oh no, one more. Oh yes, I know her, although I cannot recall her name. Mrs. Niblet. That's right. I saw her quite. Oh, so the coin is Mrs. Niblet's? Is her name Edna? Yeah. Yep. Okay. So we're learning quite a bit here. So Mrs. Niblet went to auctions to get rare coins. As usual, the winning bid was hers. I wonder if some of those coins carried some sort of curse since they came from God knows where. It's surprising she seems rather unfazed by the gruesome photographs. I wonder if she's seen worse deaths due to chemicals. Although if I had ever seen worse, I doubt I could muster such cheer. I never realized this peculiar side of her. Did I keep the coin? I didn't. I don't have anything else I want to show her. But in the interview, I have no further questions. I believe I have enough information for now. Is that so? Well, alright. Earlier you mentioned you had a prior engagement. I won't keep you any longer. Thank you for your time. You've been incredibly helpful. Oh, no problem. Don't hesitate to reach out if you require anything else. I give her a brief nod. Dr. Rayford then departs from my office. I'm alone again, but not for long. My assistant pops in. Professor, I'm heading home soon. Is there anything else I can do? No, I'm perfectly fine. I think I'll stay and work a bit longer. Okay, see you tomorrow, Professor. Have a safe trip home. Upon wishing me the same, Minnie leaves. I want to read the lab report. I have some time until I have to wrap up my workday and head home from the office. Now, we got a lot of information. Where's the lab report? I want to read that. Now, where did that just go? Okay, this is Dr. Rayford's lab report on the blood samples. The content is quite similar to the forensic report. While elements similarly found in human blood, such as phosphorus and some proteins, are found in the third victim's blood, it doesn't contain iron. So Edna's blood had no iron, but had, phosphorus, carbs, and proteins. So it's like it was sucked dry. More so, the amount of phosphorus found is in a higher percentage than in human blood, making it possible for this to be blood of a fairy. So was she not human at all? Hmm. The fourth victim's blood appears to be normal human blood with iron present. Traces of arsenic were also found, although there is some new information. I had expected the report to be more detailed. Then again, I did ask her to finish it as fast as possible, and she delivered. Well, that doesn't really help me. Okay, let's try. Oops. I don't know what I'm doing with these various tools. Now, this blood sample, Edna's blood sample came up purple, which we know from the book. Oops. Yeah, let's go back to that. There's parasitic magic. So Edna's blood sample contains parasitic magic, so she was definitely infected. Possibly from that previous Fae that we got. But we didn't really learn anything new, which is still an issue. It's no surprise this powder has been all the rage with the upper set. They managed to get Mary Pickford for the advertisement. That must have been where I knew it from. Right. Now, the ring didn't really give us. I can't begin to imagine how her husband must feel losing his soulmate this way. It's like, yeah, we learned some stuff, but then we didn't. So it's a wedding ring from the second victim. So the ring is Susan's. Beneath the black light, it has some violet and red traces of magic. So it's both the warrior and parasitic. We did learn a lot about that. Nobody seems to know who that is. We found the markings. So the descriptions are actually incredibly helpful. And it's two separate families. I mean, unfortunately, I don't have anything else to contribute. We read all the stuff. There's just nothing more to give. I can't see at this point how it would be helpful. I'll put all this stuff back in case we need that in the future. Can we close this? I mean, I think we've gotten what we need. I think we've done what we can do right now. I got a lot of information, but not really. It's the next afternoon. I should be grading assignments or reviewing the lecture I'm going to give come Monday, or do anything productive in the realm of professional duties. Instead, I find my attention straying more and more towards the office door. I voice my frustrations to good old Oz. Theo will probably arrive at any moment. I can't stop wondering whether my explanation will be enough for him. In the past, no sort of explanation ever seemed to please him when it comes to fairies. And why should it do so now? My voice cracks with concern. This time he came to you, bearing in mind the possibility of fairy involvement. He'd be a fool if he discredits you so soon. My fairy companion's chirping becomes increasingly stern this time. But you need to get yourself together. You must remain steadfast and strong when facing the detective. Don't permit your voice to falter when presenting your facts. I know I can't let myself unravel at this point. It's just that he never solicited my opinion quite in this manner. A professional insight, no less. All the more reason to be as calm as you can. Maintaining your composure is essential to delivering a persuasive argument. But no matter what happens, at least you know you tried. At the end of the day, he's the one who needs to solve this case. You're right, of course you are. I'm not a detective, I'm simply a professor sharing my perspective. Thank you, Oz, as always, for talking me off the ledge. Just then, someone knocked on the door. That's my cue to sail past your window ledge. Best of luck. I whisper a hurried goodbye to my fairy friend. I'll see you tonight, Oz. Once Oz is flown out, I direct my attention towards the door. Come in. My assistant marches in. Professor, you have a visitor. The detective. Minnie nods. Alright, send him in. Minnie nods once again and walks out of the room. Theo paces around a bit after strolling in. He appears quite distracted. He finally stops and opens his mouth. So, what have you learned? I take a deep breath. Here it goes. I have to present my findings to perhaps the most sought-after detective in the police force. Theo investigates cases right where the crime scene unfolded. He's agonizingly familiar with the grit and grime of the city's darkest recesses. Meanwhile, as a professor, my experience primarily revolves around the nebulous, the theoretical. I must do my best to stay calm and collected, just as Oz suggested. I read the case files. Victims' odd behavior shortly before death could be due to hypnotic spells from fairies. The fourth victim went to the police station, but before she said anything, it seemed that she saw something that scared her away. What if she saw something not human? And the manner of death. He interrupts me before I can finish. I have no time for assumptions. The papers telephoned our department this morning, and they found out about some of these deaths. So that's why he looks agitated. The chief's preparing a statement for tomorrow regarding this. So I'll just cut to the chase. Is there fairy involvement? Yes. Yes, I'm certain of it. I can tell his interest is piqued. However, I would first like to lay out the basics, since I'm pretty sure you discarded the things I've told you in the past. He grumbles as if in admission of my statement. So far, we've identified 3 classes of fairies: warrior, scribe, and parasitic fae. Warriors have strong offensive magic, scribe's magic tends to be defensive, and parasitic magic is parasitic. We Faeologists have developed a tool called Blacklight to detect traces of Fae magic. It can be detected through photographs if the magic is especially strong. Warrior magic grows red, scribe magic blue, and parasitic magic shines purple. I found that seemingly fairies of one specific class are behind this. Which one? I want to see parasitic. It seems like it's mostly... well, it's not really warrior. It seems like it's more parasitic. They're one of the parasitic classes. What is the evidence? Well, the dead fae is definitely one of them. How does this prove parasitic involvement? I put the dead fae beneath the black light. This is the dead parasitic fae. Look at its glow under the black light. Is this dead bug the one behind the murders? And I can see the purple traces, but what about this red glow? He's right. I feel like I didn't think this through. You're right. It appears I should reinvestigate. What else do you got? We have photographs. How does this prove parasitic involvement? I recall there's no magic traces on the crime scene photographs, but rather on the family. I set down the crime scene photographs and hover the black light on one over them one by one. Can you see the signal on the left victim's left hand? Yes, I could see it. I thought parasitic magic was supposed to be purple. He's right. The signals are blue, and they're protective booms from the scribe. You're right. I don't know what I was thinking. He lets out a long sigh. The look on his face says it all. He's profoundly disappointed. I swallow back a lump rising in my throat. Clearly, you haven't been thorough in your investigation. Either you're missing important things, or you just don't take it as seriously as I thought. But I do take it seriously. I just, if I could just reinvestigate, it's hard to get any sentences out of my mouth. No words of mine could ease the way he sees me now. It doesn't matter, we're running out of time. I couldn't find proof of it being unusual drugs or poisons either. Even the most atypical drugs don't cause the sort of bizarre hallucinations. No poisons can turn the whole body into hardened stone. His eyes narrow on me, full of quiet accusations. Honestly, I can't believe this. You dedicated many, many years of study of forensic Faeology, and this is all you have to show for it? What are you? I know you're clever, capable, competent, but you ought to consider changing your field. You're not cut out for forensics. I'm starting to see red. I can't believe he's bringing up my profession this way. I know I messed up, but you just crossed the goddamn line. He knows I tried my best, given the limited time, but he keeps hammering away. It hits me over and over again how easy it is for him to make me feel really small. I'm just laying down the facts. Says it so nonchalantly, it's as if he doesn't see the effect on his opinion on me. I can't do this anymore. My anger is beyond containment. I never want to see you again. Get out. Fine by me. I don't plan on ever coming back to this office anyhow. Upon picking up the box of evidence, Theo turns to leave. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. He slams it. I find myself striding restlessly in the room, seething with frustration. Perhaps this is for the best. After all, there's a reason I walked away, and it's all coming back to me. As I was steadying my breath to calm down, I realized something. I hadn't explained Dr. Redford's finding on the blood samples, how it could be fairy blood, and the significance of the scribe signals on prominent families. He gave me additional information, too, on the victims as well as the popularity of the makeup. I didn't have a chance to tell him all that. Well, so be it. I'm not going to write him or telephone him. Perhaps I'll write an anonymous letter to the homicide department. But first, I ought to finish grading the assignments I neglected yesterday. It's been an hour and a half since I forced myself to get back to work, and yet my anger hadn't subsided. Then it strikes me. I'm no more angry at Theo than I am at myself. How did I fail this? Why wasn't I thorough enough? Still, that doesn't give him a right to talk to me like that. I bury my face in my hands as I realize I've been merely spinning in circles. Professor, is this a bad time? I look up at her in shock. When did she get in? I knocked, then waited for a minute. It occurred to me that perhaps she didn't hear me. Oh, sorry. My mind is more than a little preoccupied. The detective had an intensely brooding expression when he left. I figured the meeting didn't go well. I could stay longer today if you need to talk. Thanks, Minnie. I'm not sure about talking, but I could use some company. Of course, Professor. Would you like me to fetch us a bottle? Sure. Any preference? Whatever bottle's the biggest, or whatever has the highest alcoholic content. Yeah, I definitely messed up there. I got ending number 6. Oh, so there's different endings. Oh, so I messed up. I thought it was parasitic. So I don't know. I definitely messed up there. That was interesting though. So I see I like these kind of games, kind of mystery, having to think out and piece together the strategy for yourself. This reminds me of like blueprints or the root trees are dead, where you have to kind of work through the evidence, kind of like a murder mystery whodunit style. I actually really like this. I'm gonna go ahead and wish list this on Steam. It's called Death in Faeology. Let me know in the comments below, what did you think?